fear, no hate, no fear. Nazis are not welcome here. No hate, no fear. Nazis are not welcome here.
A heated scene outside Roy Thompson Hall tonight as hundreds gathered to voice their opposition to a controversial debate featuring former Trump strategist Steve Bannon, known for his white nationalist ideologies. The protest also led to clashes with police. 2 officers were injured and 12 arrests were made. And despite that massive protest and calls to keep the far-right figure out of Toronto, the show went on tonight. Thousands filed into a downtown theater to hear Steve Bannon in a debate on the rise of populism. But before they could have their tickets ripped, audience members were met by protesters calling them out for supporting a white supremacist.
Why are they letting this happen? So I said, there's going to be thousands of us coming down here to tell them, not in our city!
They came out in the hundreds. Protesters packed the streets outside Roy Thompson Hall, ready to share their message.
I think Bannon is a very dangerous man because he peddles hate speech and he has had access to the highest reaches of American power.
Hello to you, the over 2,800 people and counting who braved some protests tonight.
Tonight, the man who helped Donald Trump win the U.S. presidency took to a Toronto stage for a debate on the rise of populism. Steve Bannon, the far-right nationalist known for his white supremacist views, faced off against conservative commentator David Frum, a former speechwriter to President George W. Bush.
The Oval Office, I think it's 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. President Bush, David's...
Bannon's opening remarks were interrupted by hecklers, followed by boos in the crowd. But many here say this was hardly a debate of differing ideas.
I think that it's a problem when you have a forum like this and you have essentially 2 right-wingers debating each other about what form of, political ideas works better. And you have a lot of discontent, and you basically have 2 people who are speaking that don't represent a huge swath of society.
The sold-out event began half an hour late. Outside, the line stretched far along King Street, ticket holders waiting to fill the more than 2,800-seat venue. But as they approached the doors, many were confronted by protesters, calling them out for helping normalize white supremacy. Those in attendance say this event is about free speech. Can you tell me why you wanted to come to this event tonight?
We just want to see his point of view. We don't agree with it, but I'd like to see what his point of view is, and I hope David Frum does a good job in refuting it.
I thought it was a great debate. I think public discourse is really important, and anyone that wants to shut it down has the wrong idea about what it means to live in a free democracy.
We shouldn't support Nazis, and the freedom of speech debate is like a whole other conversation. We shouldn't support Nazis. Nazis want to kill people.
Bannon might reject the neo-Nazi label, but has admitted that Breitbart, the alt-right news outlet he once led, has attracted elements of racism and anti-Semitism.
It's very dangerous because we've already been seeing activity by the far right in the city, and this is only going to encourage them, and that's what I fear. I fear for my community.
Now, earlier this year, Bannon was invited to another event, but was eventually dropped from the speakers list. This was at October's New Yorker Festival. That happened after intense backlash and threats of a boycott from other guests.